Is all right. We are live right now. Let's give it a couple of seconds there. All right. Welcome everybody. Good evening, wherever you may be watching us from. This is a Stand Up Fight Back, where we discuss its strategy analysis for the progressive movement, and we are here live on Sundays, every Sunday at 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. So, when I welcome you, my co-host tonight is Jackie Hernandez. You want to welcome the
Hi,
audience?
everybody. Yeah, hi, everybody. Hopefully, you've been having a really nice Sunday. It's been a lovely day here. So, we're really happy to be here to talk to you all.
Yes, it's a beautiful Sunday here in Southern California. I just got back. I was traveling. I was over in Florida where we did our Food for Health uh, Thanksgiving turkey distribution. It was so successful, so awesome to see so many volunteers come out and give of themselves. Give that labor of love, as we always say it, for the community. But Jackie, where are you located at right now? I'm over in Oxnard, California. Where are you at?
I'm actually in Highland Park, but today I spent my day in Azusa. I went on a cultural hike with some friends at Gabrielinos, and it was a really awesome hike. So we went on a hike in the morning, and we talked about here in LA the history of the Gabrielino people, and it was really inspiring to really know when we're hiking which land we're standing on. So that was such a great time. And shout out to Kevin and Nathan, who are the stewards of the land here in Azusa Canyons.
Wow, so awesome. I'm over here in Oxnard, and there are some local farms here that it's of high interest to me, especially with the work that we are doing with food insecurity. But shout out to all the farmers, the farm workers rather, over here in Oxnard, the city of Oxnard. Beautiful people, hardworking community in Oxnard, and of course, all the farmers, all the people that work so hard to make sure that you and I can have food on the table.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you knew this, but the vast majority of the food in the United States comes from California. So big shout out to all the people that work the fields. Your labor is well appreciated. You do so much for all of us. You work under all kinds of weather conditions, whether it's been extreme heat in the cold during fires. You see those
Yeah.
people working out there in the fields, Jackie.
Yeah. Yeah, and no protection. So that's one of the downsides, right? The health hazards that they go on, and we need to also ensure that they have basic needs met, like healthcare. We need to make sure that the people who feed us are well taken care of. So definitely shout out to all of you. The reason why we're able to also have dinner this Thursday with family is because of the people who work the farms.
Right. And we wanna say thank you once again to our farm workers for all they do. But we talk about Thanksgiving. We have to remember that Thanksgiving is a day of mourning for the Native American community. It's not a day of celebration. It is a day of mourning. So we
Yeah.
want to give our hearts. We want to give our gratitude to the Native American community, because we do understand and we celebrate your strength. We celebrate the fact that you continue to move forward in regardless of all the struggles that you have had over the centuries. Really, very resilient people. So this Thanksgiving Day, we remember you. We honor you, and yes, we are thankful for the food that we receive. But this is a day of mourning, and I want to make sure that we understand that we are standing with our Native American people, and celebrate you during this Thanksgiving um, weekend celebration, or whatever you want to call it. But it is a day of reflection, of what really happened. We got to know our history. Got to understand that colonizers came in. We got to understand that the massacre did against the Native American people uh, throughout the Americas.
Yeah, and one of the things that we have to remember too is that November is Native American month. And when we think about that too, Iqua is right now in danger. And that is another unfortunate event for Native Americans, as we already see reservations are in terrible condition. There have not been much treaties that have been honored to the Native Americans. So we have to remember all of the things that continue to happen, the still ongoing colonization. And as I mentioned, ICWA is very important right now. It is one of the laws that is upholded to protect Native American children in the foster care system so they can continue to be with Native American families and be able to keep your tradition and keep your culture. And that is so important for Native American communities. And as I said, today I went on a hike to learn about the people here, the Gabrielino, also known as the Tongva. And it's one of those things where a lot of people in Azusa, in my hometown, do not know anything about the mountains and the history. And one of the things that we should remember, especially in Azusa, is that the natives are still here. The Guarena people are still here. And the name of Azusa is actually Asuksanga, as I learned today in many instances that I've heard the natives speak here when I go to their events, when I go to their cleanups or anything like that. And we have to show up. When we say we support Native people, we have to show up. What are we doing on this land to actually take care of it? We can talk about preservation, we can talk about so many things about caring about Native culture, but if we're not showing up to really support the Native communities and in environmental efforts, have them lead in a lot of the efforts because they know this land best, then what are we doing? I think that's another thing
Exactly.
that we need to remember, that if we're going to be talking about supporting Native communities, to know if we have a relationship with them and doing the work with them. So that's very important to really remember also, not just on this week, but this entire month.
Correct, correct. So, Jackie, there's a lot happening. Of course, we just went over midterm elections. Progressives won big in many different seats and platforms that they run on. So it is a time that we can reflect and say that people have rolled up the sleeves. They went to work. They're winning. They're getting involved. They participate. But we far from being comfortable. We cannot get comfortable. We got to keep going. One of the things that popped up, and I'm going to start our conversation regarding the billionaire class because we want to talk about the billionaire class today. We want to give a shout out uh, to our new mayor, a historic event where we have a new mayor of Los Angeles, a woman for the first time, Karen Bass. So congratulations to her. And she beat over big money. She won against billionaire developer Caruso. And I was really watching that particular race closely because this guy, this developer, real estate developer, just came in and literally, threw $100 million into this race. $100 million, like nothing, like nothing. And he was trying to buy, the mayor seat. He was trying to buy the election. And I am so happy and really inspired that the people of Los Angeles saw that they saw what he was trying to do, that he had no interest in Angelinos, but he was looking for himself to set himself up and the people that he represents, the billionaire class. So in this case, we have the people that won against a billionaire.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about billionaires this week. And this is kind of pretty much where we talk about the oligarchy, right? Trying to really get into our politics and how big money really tries to sway our elections, or it many times does, because they do pay politicians to vote their favor. But with Caruso, I think the impactful part of that is that people did come up and show up to vote, and these were just the midterms as well. So the fact that not only for Congress but also for everything else, people actually showed up and were like, "Oh no." But you let me tell you, one thing that I'm still amazed though is how his advertising and all the ads he really put out there not didn't work completely because he didn't win, but they did get votes. So we also have to take lessons to learn from that, right? Really acknowledge that billionaires are going to try to buy their elections, and they keep on doing it. We see that with even Donald Trump announcing again that he wants to run, although he's not a billionaire at this point. I doubt he is, but still it shows you the type of power that a lot of rich people think they have, and how they think people might just think, oh, they're going to vote for me because I'm rich and I'm successful. And that correlates with me having intelligence and being in office. I think that's kind of what a lot of folks have thought up to this point when people talk about businessmen running for office and being the outsiders that know how to run a business, so therefore they're good for government. And as we see, that's also not the best idea, as we see billionaires like Elon Musk also tank a lot of companies and even Twitter. Just on Twitter, I think they underestimated the power of Twitter, and a lot of companies are suffering because of the impersonation. So billionaires are not always the best choice. They're not the smartest, and people's labor is what gets ideas moving. So at the end of the
Right.
day, these people are not the brightest, and they don't move around. They don't make the world move. They don't make the world actually be what we live in. We do that through our labor, through our community. So we need to remember that at the end of the day, we are the ones who make the world round go. So
Right.
just remembering that, because this time we showed up when we voted this guy, and we knew that this guy was a developer that was not gonna be for us and do, even if he did development, right, it wasn't gonna be affordable housing that was gonna benefit us. It was gonna be the luxury stuff or whatever else, pretty much turn into LA into a mall. But I mean, we now have to ensure that Karen Bass is going to have the pressure that she needs and the direction she needs to make the choices to really align with what we need moving forward here in LA, which is affordable housing, especially that, and also ensuring that we just, as we said last week, we don't just build tiny homes, that we actually ensure that we have programs that will transition people into housing and to able to have all the necessary resources they need to ensure that they're also taken care of in a way that's humane. Because a lot of the plans that even some Democrats have right now, like Gavin Newsom with I forgot what they were called, the care courts, seem good, but then when you really see them, there's some issues there too. So we really have to kind of understand some of the give and takes that we have and how we can talk to legislators to do the best choices. So yeah, I mean, let's see what happens now in LA.
Right. So there's a lot that when we talk about the billionaire class, we're talking about a very small group of people that have concentrated wealth, you know, in their pockets. They own most of the wealth in the United States or around the world, and that be the case. And their greed is beyond belief. We're speaking about Elon Musk, and we see what he's doing with Twitter. We see his attitude. We see his corrupt
His
heart that he's got.
narcissism.
He has absolutely no morals. You know, money is his god, and they are guided by money. They are not guided by how they're going to benefit the society, how they're gonna making sure that the people are taken care of. All they're looking is for the bottom line, the profit, and they make decisions based on that. These are very dangerous people because these are the same people that pour millions of dollars into elections. They buy elections, they buy politicians,
Yeah.
they manipulate the system. This is who runs a lot of the government. A lot of they are the ones that dictate what should the people have and what should they not have. We see the pushback even with education. You know,
Yeah.
they're trying to put some loan forgiveness for the education, and we saw the amount of pushback that we have from the billionaire class. That's where it's coming from because it's
Right.
affecting the bottom line. And there, mind you, They already have enough that they cannot spend in their lifetime. You know, they can
Right.
live 100 million years, and they're still not going to be able to spend all the
It's
money
still
that
not
they
enough.
have.
And I mean, the other wild part here is Jeff Bezos coming out too and saying that he was going to donate some of his money. And a lot of people were like, "Why don't you pay your workers? Like there's so many
Right,
things you can do to actually ensure that the people who are working in his business and make his business happen are actually paid well." And he's thinking of donating, and of course he's probably thinking of donating because of his tax write-offs that he can do and the philanthropy feeling that some of these people get. It's easy to really just give money and think you feel good about it, but there's another difference between philanthropy and actual justice. So those are two different things, and they don't think like that because they just think like, oh, if I toss some money, they'll think I'm good and they'll clap at me. And that's usually what does happen, right? People are like, oh my god, they donated, that's amazing. But quite honestly, when you get into nonprofits, when you get into some of the grants and everything that of the work that people actually do on the ground, you notice that not even $1 million is good enough to be able to sometimes run a nonprofit, because you need to pay well too. You want to pay your workers in a nonprofit well, and most of the time that's kind of really hard because of the small amount of money. So sometimes even when people say I gave 2 million to this nonprofit, quite honestly, it's not a lot. Like for how many years? For just one?
right,
For how many years are you giving these $2 million? So sometimes they give $2 million for like 5 years, and you're like, how am I going to pay my workers? How am I going to get this thing running?
right,
And billionaires don't understand the struggle that it is to be able to do the work on the ground and pay people well and get people and get your program going. So when they do donate, it's not usually the way that would compensate for the wages that you could pay people. Instead of having the charity, you would be able to have people that afford to live, so those are the two different things. Like, what are we doing? If we tax them, we're able to afford affordable housing programs, so
right.
how are we
I
really
mean,
doing, like?
I think that you hit it in the nail. The fact that uh, what we are looking for is for them to be just,
Yeah,
pay the workers a just fair
and pay your
wages,
taxes.
livable wages, pay your fair share of taxes. It's really simple. People don't care how much money you make as long as you do the right thing. And by that we
Right,
mean is, again, pay livable wages for your workers.
but
I
that's
mean,
the
for
thing.
crying out loud, it's not going to break you. An extra dollar that you pay them is not going to
Well,
break you.
the problem is, Carlos, they won't be billionaires because in a just society, you don't have billionaires. There's no such thing as a billionaire in a place where we actually treat people well and don't exploit them. And that's what they obviously don't want. They know they like that power. To be a billionaire is to be a king nowadays. So I think, if anything, that's the reason why when a lot of people say capitalism works, but if you had this and this, but I'm like, there's the Canary Islands where people are being like, oh well, if you're gonna tax me, I'm just gonna make my own little country and gonna just put my money in there, and there's a treasure. There's like a little kingdom. So when we talk about billionaires, it's like little kings running around, and we
Right.
say that too because they donate money, they try to pay. So the other one that I want to talk about was Elizabeth Holmes. Um, with Theranos, I believe it was that company, and it's such a shame, and I have to say, because she was actually doing crimes against humanity when you talk about the pilot testing that she was doing on people when her product didn't work. And that is honestly so unethical. But see, that's the thing. Everybody's so obsessed with billionaires and with ideas that they never question this person. Also, she's a white woman, so she has that advantage. But the fact that nobody questioned, does this idea actually work? It was more so like, oh, this sounds great, and this is a person who knows how to talk, who knows how to get money. So she got all these investors, and at the end of the day, she committed a huge crime. And it's not just that she lied about the product. Again, I'm saying she tested this product on people, saying it worked. That is the worst thing you can do to
Yeah.
people who have also terminal illness,
Right.
and giving some type of hope. So it was a blood testing device that she was trying to get out with the blood one drop and everything. But again, like, you can't do that and then only get 11 years. And I say that because The maximum years was 80 years, and she only got 12% of the sentence. Yeah, people will say she's pregnant and everything like that, and that is a concern, of course, when people are pregnant in the criminal system. You see so many women suffering. She's not going to get that treatment. She's going to get the rich white woman treatment, which is another thing with white collar crime compared to women of color who suffer so many horrible things in prisons, and when they're pregnant, even worse. So those things are to be considered, but just talking about just a general statement of the sentence she got, 11 years, when so many people, and people of color in particular, have gotten so many years for even cannabis distribution. What is this? Like, billionaires are getting special treatment even when they commit such like a horrible crime. So those are kind of the things that I think riled me up this week with billionaires.
Well, these are the facts that billionaires operating on different systems. They have their own system. They have their own judges. Look what happened with a lot of these people that are in power right now. They're able to go directly to the Supreme Court. Put a petition to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court rules, and pretty much they dismiss the case. They drop the
Yeah,
charges, or they disregard whatever is a fair justice. Just to protect those people that are in
and same with
power,
Trump
those
now.
people that. So it's a level of corruption that exists that is outrageous. And I think that people are seeing right through it right now. They understand. And again, the billionaire class, the vast majority of them have no morals. They have
Yeah,
no integrity, and they're very unethical. And the business models that they run with hurt society more than it
it
helps.
does. I
Help
mean,
society. I mean, destroy society.
it does. I mean, look at the Sackler family. Sure, they got shunned away from New York City. Everybody hates them. You hear the Sackler family, and you recognize its addiction to opioids and the crisis of opioids. So, but they never went to jail. These people knew that this drug was going to cause major harm to society. And all they chose to do was blame the individual, saying, oh, it's just people who got addicted, not my problem. And that's not how this works. That's not how this works.
Right.
All these people trusted this medication, and doctors and scientists. That's the thing. There was no secret. And the FDA eventually did the investigation, and they were like, hey,
Right.
no, but somebody, and this is a revolving door. Somebody from the company had gone into the FDA and they approved it. So it's one of those things where, like, you cannot have people from the companies going into regulation, because this issue happens so many times, to the point that we need to ensure the rich class cannot influence government that way. And that's what we mean too, right?
Right.
They're influencing government in so many ways that they become criminals, and then, or they do criminal things, and then they don't pay for it.
Well, the easiest person to look at right now is Elon Musk, and all
Yeah.
the different business models that he has run. He has used taxpayers' money to where
Yes,
he's at.
that
And
is the
people don't think so,
word.
but he has used taxpayers' money to achieve a lot of the goals, including his space program. He collaborated. They collaborated with him. They used the government to achieve the permits and the different things that he needed to be able to accomplish that. Well, that's taxpayers' money, people.
It
That's
is. It is.
taxpayers' money. So he
No
uses
spousal
people.
thing.
He uses our taxpayers, and then they want to be able to have full control of everything. So all this about the space program with Elon Musk and everything, it's all about money. It's not about the well-being of the people. It's about ways that they be able to control more, here on Earth, and be able to extract more money from the people. So,
Yeah.
again, we can go on and on and on. There's nothing. We don't have nothing against rich people, but we have something against people that are unethical, corrupt, immoral, and again, that hurt our society, that hurt our communities. That's what we have something against.
And that's kind of the problem, right? When it comes to those issues, people forget. Like, I studied psychology for undergrad. I was a psychology major, and we studied people who were psychopaths. And you would see that there's a lot of more psychopaths that are CEOs and these wealthy people, and they are narcissists and they don't have empathy. So we can't even say, "Oh, I wish they like thought this way or cared." They really don't. Their narcissism is about them, and we see that really now with Elon Musk doing so many bad decisions. There was this person that I was talking to, who I was working with, and she told me that she invested, I don't know how many, I forgot how many $1,000 into Tesla, and she was just seeing her money sink. And she's like, I'm not a wealthy person. I'm literally just a normal person who thought maybe I should make an investment. And now it's not going really well. And it's all because Elon really thought that taking Twitter and doing something like freedom of speech was going to actually work out, but it's not. It's not. And I thought it was just interesting. The company, Lilly, I forgot what it's called, but it was an insulin company. They're considering at this point their prices because of the trolling accounts that were pretty much talking about the free insulin, and then from there their stock sank because somebody took that seriously. A lot of the investors do look at Twitter, and so their companies synced, and then everybody was like, the real crime is you thinking, and Bernie Sanders also talked about this on his Twitter. He said, the real crime here is not that someone impersonates you pretty much, but like that you guys are charging hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars for this medication that only costs about $10 to make. So these are seriously companies that are killing people by neglecting the ability for people to have these medications, not only an affordable price, but really it should be guaranteed for patients at this point. Every other country does it except us. Every other country that's industrialized and has universal health care. So we really need to think about companies and talk about the reality that's happening. We cannot gloss over the fact of what's really happening to people because of the actions of these companies that are causing death, that are causing people to suffer every day just trying to make it through to get medication. So
Right.
when it comes to that, the fact that these people up on top don't have feelings about the people who suffer, no matter how many times I see what's her name? Oh my gosh. The person from Orange County. I love her and I forgot. Um
Well, is she a politician? Who we
yes,
talking
she's
about?
in the house.
Katie Potter.
Yeah,
Katie Porter.
you know who I was talking about now. She
Yes.
like no matter how many times these companies get interrogated, they know the numbers. I mean, when she posts the numbers and everything about how much money they're making, how much money they're selling their companies for, and how they're gouging, they know the numbers.
Right.
She asked the questions, they know the numbers. That means they understand that how much they're pricing this. They don't care about people dying. That's just the reality. So
Yeah.
it's going to
Well,
be up to us
when you
to
look
have
at
that
how they raise the cost of food, how they raise the cost of gasoline, just because they can,
they can.
and they could care less, you know, how you're going to be able to survive. They make decisions based on the bottom line for them.
Yeah.
How much
And
profit they're getting, how much they're not getting. That
and
doesn't
look,
make that they're
no, and think about this. So when I took a business management class a long time ago, when I thought I was gonna when I thought I was gonna do this when I was like 18, and basically we were talking about how businesses really have their estimates of profit. This is like a 10-20 year plan. So 10-20 years ago, they were already estimating how much profit they wanted to make by so and so year. So they are already thinking about pricing things up so their profits and their investors can take the money that they've invested in and double it. I mean, not even double it, like 10 times it or more. So when they make plans about what, like even water bottles, for example, in plastic, these plans were already set in stone for 20 years ago, and they've been planning to increase the plastic production. So instead,
right,
right now, we're having a climate crisis. We should be talking about reducing the plastic creation and production, but they're literally trying to make more plastic, and this
right,
was for them. It's just a matter of profit. Like, oh, by the year
right,
2050, we want to make this many billions of dollars on creating plastic
right,
bottles and creating plastic whatever. So they don't care about the meetings that they have in the UN or anything like that. COP something, I forget what the name is, but there was a lot of climate activists talking about that this weekend as well. But they don't care about what plans any world leaders have. Just the thing that's going to make a difference is if we actually take action and do so in a way that we're
Right.
like, no, you're not going to make plastic and you're not going to make this profit just because you estimated this 20 years ago. Like, it does
Right.
not go with our agenda of saving the planet, of ensuring we have a livable planet. So you're going to stop. And that's the thing, we need to have actual force on these things. And I say that not lightly, because at the end of the day, we are not, we're in a timing. And I mean, if Margaret was here, I think she would be able to say more about this. But when it comes to that, we only have a set amount of time to really ensure that things don't become worse than they already are. We already see Pakistan as well, like a third underwater, a huge lake in the middle. I just talked to a friend who is from Pakistan, and she was talking about the families affected there. And we see this around the world, and the production of countries like the United States, imperialist countries, we're creating the chaos all around the islands and all around the world where they don't pollute as much, but they're suffering from the pollution that we're creating with all the production, all of the consumerism, and of course, the system that makes that happen, capitalism. So
Right.
we need to really ensure that if we want to live on a planet, we do need to ensure that companies' profits aren't going to get in the way of humanity surviving. So that's just how I'll wrap this one up.
Right. Well, here is the bottom line for us. We, I'm speaking to the audience, to the people, to the working class, to those people that have to get up every single day and have to, you know, uh, fight for their living, fight for their survival. I'm talking to you right now. Here's the fact that you're not going to change this in any way, shape, or form. The billionaire class are there shaping policy based on profit,
Yep.
not on you, not how you could live better, how things are going to be better for you, whatever. Once we get that through our heads and through our hearts and understand that they are not for us, they are not they're trying to make things for us, we need to, again, get involved and participate and get people elected that line up with our beliefs, with a working class. Because if we think that some of these Republicans that have made it very clear, absolutely 100% clear, that they have no interest in the working class, and that they will stand up and fight for the billionaire class, if we think that they are in, to help us, good luck to you. And that applies also to a lot of centrist Democrats that
Yeah.
continue to support billionaire class, billionaire
Mhm.
policies. They are very dangerous. They are the enemy of the people in the way that they are not creating policies that will help us, that will help our children or our future. So let's get that straight right now, that
Yeah.
the policies that are being driven in Washington are policies not for the working class, but for the billionaire class. That needs to change.
100%. And
Right.
with that, one thing that I will say is right now it's going to be harder to get anything really passed with
Congress.
the House. Yeah, the House being majority. Well, it's just a little bit. I think it's like 3 seats now. Um, but it's going to be more. It's going to be harder. It was already hard. We already had a lot of, so how you said, centrist Democrats who weren't all there to pass important bills. But nonetheless, it's going to be harder. It's going to be 2 years, I would say, of a lot of like back and forth between
It's more of the
the Senate
same.
and House. Yeah.
Right. Which is going to have more of the same. Things are not going to change. We're going to go back and forth. They're playing the American people. They're not interested in bringing solutions to the housing crisis, to this, to that.
No.
Everything that is being done is cosmetic. So that's what we need to be paying attention. So, Jackie, I wanted to bring also another breaking news that's been happening since late last night. That when we saw that through the news outlets, and that is the amount of hate that is coming towards the LGBT community. There was
Yeah.
a mass killing last night over in Colorado Springs at Club Q, which is a LGBT club where the gay community happened to gather to go and party. Pretty much, you had a 22-year-old man that went with an assault rifle, RA-15, and started like shooting it everywhere. 25 people have been reported to are have been hit and have suffered some kind of damage to their bodies, and 5 people were killed. And that is because, again, of the kind of rhetoric that has
Yeah.
been coming out of a lot of the politicians, actually, that have been pushing, and they are the people that we need to blame.
And how dare they? I saw so many tweets of some of these conservatives that usually call LGBTQ people, in particular trans people, calling them groomers and all of these things. These people were saying, my thoughts and prayers. No, we don't need thoughts and prayers. I'm sorry, but you are the one inciting this hate. There's real consequences from social media. There's like real consequences, and people who, I guess, don't really put much attention and think people are just blabbering on social media without making these words a reality, are not understanding that social media is an extension of our reality as well, and things do happen in real life when they are discussed on social media and when so much hate is circling around. And so these same people who say so many horrible things, dehumanizing things about LGBTQ people, and saying thoughts and prayers, like I'm no,
It's
no.
hypocritical. It's
They need
hypocritical.
to. It's horrible. It's so hypocritical. It looks really nasty and disrespectful, quite honestly, because this is honestly something that people underestimate to be a real threat for our lives. And this happens with so many groups of people who are being marginalized and just dehumanized. And we cannot wonder why these things happen, right? Because the dehumanization of people and the xenophobia is something that has gotten people killed over and over again for since we ever thought about outcasting groups and putting them into compartments to isolate them and to discriminate and oppress them. So these are the reasons why. Also, when people say that both sides are the same, I would say that it's not quite true. I don't feel like a lot of people feel as threatened by the left than they do by the conservatives. If you're an
Yeah.
LGBTQ person, you're safer in a place where it's progressive, where you see folks like in liberal even cities, right? You can go into a club, and this is where community is made. A lot of LGBTQ people do not have the safe spaces to be in, to know that they can gather and be with each other. And a lot of these clubs are the spaces where a lot of folks also come out and finally figure out what it is that the community space that they can be in comfortably in. So these spaces are not just a club. These spaces are a space where folks feel safe to be in, and to be targeted this way, and knowing that all this hate is coming and that it targets the place where you usually feel safe to be gay, and it's not. I mean, even
Right.
students, even people. So let's just think about how this hate is never going to. The fact that this hate is just going to keep on growing if people have these types of accounts and are keep on saying things on social media that are hurtful.
But we got to get to the root of the problem. The root of the problem is you have specific evangelicals, and I'm speaking to you. If you call yourself a Christian, I'm a Christian. I believe, I believe I believe in Jesus Christ, and I believe in the Bible. But let me tell you something, though. And as a former pastor, I can tell you this: I know the kind of teachings that come out of those pulpits, every Sunday. The amount of hate that is spilled out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Jesus didn't say to go and beat up people and go and kill people. You know what I mean? You are not a judge. Who made you a judge? Who made you a judge? You know what I mean? if you truly believe in God or the Bible or Jesus or whatever, it's like you are there supposed to be loving people, not hating people. So all these false narratives, all this, God made you some kind of a judge. You're not only being a hypocritical, you're going against what the Bible teaches actually. So again, nobody has made you a judge. You're not there to be judging people. I love the LGBT community. You know what I mean? If people choose to do what they want to do in the bedroom, that's their business. It's not my business. I have to make sure that the people have, the things that are necessary for them to survive. You know what I mean? I am not out there looking to promote some kind of church or ideas that are against the Bible. Because these things that you claim to be godly are pretty much the opposite. When you spill hate, when you spill this kind of vicious attacks against a group of people, regardless who they are, whether LGBT or even the Muslim community, you know what I mean? This is very ungodly what you do. And I gotta say that's not God. So you better check what God are you serving if you claim to be doing a lot of the stuff in the name of Jesus Christ. That is so anti God, the kind of hate that you promote.
And
It
I
just
think
it just bothers me so much.
it's something that, really, I don't even know how to explain it, because I think when people say like there's more gay people existing now than before because of all these people that are coming out, I'm sorry to tell you, but people used to not come out because they were afraid of being killed and being marginalized and being outcasted from society. The people that are coming out now, and the reason why more people are, visible, is because it can be visible, because they can be who they want to be. There's
Well,
no
I can
more
tell you this.
people.
Yeah,
But this is what I
Jackie, I
mean.
can
Like,
tell you this. Right, I can tell you this, Jackie. I know a lot of pastors that the kids are gay. A lot of the pastors' kids are gay.
yeah.
A lot of the people in the church are gay. And you're trying to like be so mean spirited against the people. You know what I mean? Again, what you need to ask yourself is, did God make you a judge? No, He didn't. He has no judges. He judges no one. You let Him be the judge. You let Him. You know what I mean? He is the creator. You are no one to be out there, hurting people and spilling all this kind of hate.
And to me, it begs also the question: separation of church and state. Bodily autonomy is one of those situations that has always been controversial, but at the same time, that is none of your business. The
Right.
people who need to, who want to dress how they want, who need to like put makeup on, whatever it is that they want to do, gender expression, sexual, whatever it is, sexuality,
That's up
that
to
is
them.
not for you. This is the reason why this is a free country, right? So one of the things that really has bothered me too is the attack on bodily autonomy for, abortion rights, and also for transgender rights. So those are two things that is like, that doesn't affect you. That doesn't affect you, the person. It's my life. It's my choice in that sense too. But it's really about bodily autonomy when it comes to conservatives being against it because of the binary of gender, because of these beliefs. But at the same time, we have to remember these people exist. So the fact that they exist means that they should have rights for for who they are, and just being a
Right.
human. So at the same time, when people, like, that's why I said people cannot say they are barely coming out or there's more people, because there's just more ability for people to be who they are. But when people hate on them, when people are attacking them and trying to kill them, people are going to hide again. And that's
Right.
pretty much why people have
Well,
not come out.
right. And here's another thing. Look, if you were born a Muslim or Buddhist or even an atheist, you know what I mean? That's,
Yeah.
you're not going to change that.
And
You're
you know
not going
what?
to change that. So if you believe that your religion is the only religion that exists, well, the way you drive your narrative, no one
Yeah.
wants to join your church. No one's going to want to, be part of that. Because you're driving
Ah,
hate. You're driving
yeah.
hate.
That's not something I
Anyway,
want in my heart. That's not something I want in my heart. And I see so many people out here in the community when they help each other, when they're doing things for each other. The LGBTQ community is pretty tight, and the trans community as well, in the sense of helping each other with mutual aid. And that is one of the things. The reason why they have to rely on mutual aid and community groups is because of the suffering of this legislative system, the systemic
right.
oppression against trans people. And here in California, we've been a little better, but places like Florida, for example, places like all over the United States banning
Horrible.
books, like in
It's
libraries and
horrible.
everything, and
I,
even
yeah.
putting librarians, trying
The,
to they try to prosecute librarians because they didn't take away the LGBTQ books. That's wrong right there. We're trying to erase
well,
the existence of people, and when we try
well,
to
it's like
erase them,
yeah.
violence comes up.
You try to erase history, and the fact of the matter is that United States was colonized. It was founded in murder. It was founded in taking and stealing people's lands. The fact of the matter is that Christianity is very violent. It has been
Yeah,
violent, and those are the facts that you cannot erase. So if you think that you're gonna teach something, different, it's not gonna happen because everybody knows the truth. The fact
right.
that you're trying to hide what Trump did, it's not gonna. That's not gonna be hidden because
Yeah,
everybody knows that he has based his entire public life, as far as political life, on hate. That's history. That's now history. So
yeah,
it doesn't matter if your judge wants to allow something in court or not. We got history now. And what's happening right now, again, with all this hate against all these kinds of groups, it's being part of the history that this is who America is. We are not a land of the free. As long as you don't let people, have choices, you cannot say that you are a land of the free. You cannot control someone's body. You can't. You cannot tell people what religion they should be able to practice. Even Jesus doesn't do that. He doesn't have robots. He's got people that want to serve him, on the free will. He never taken that free will from us. So that's how you err. That's how you know you're in error. It's because you train to have robots, you know what I mean, instead of people with free choices. Anyways, I have
yeah.
a lot to say about all that.
No, and that's one of the things too that we have to remember is like, how do we move forward with all that's happening, right? And I think Gen Z and millennials really showed up in these elections to show that we do not agree with this. We need to obviously keep on showing up, because I know so many of the Gen Z kids who are just like, this is beyond what is acceptable here. And conservatives are pretty much getting this was an election, this past election, where more people showed up than I think of when Obama ran, and even Bernie, the primary. So, we see the problems, and people are like, I think I need to vote this time, because sometimes
Yeah.
people don't vote because they're like, oh well, it'll be okay. But I think Gen Z especially is like, the planet is dying, their
Right.
rights are being taken away, Roe v. Wade, all of these things are happening, and they're seeing that they're going to be the ones suffering 30, 40 years from now, more than
People are
anyone
fed
else.
up. Yeah. You're right, Jackie. People are fed up. We have a streets full of people living on the streets, sleeping on the streets. We have more people that have no access to healthcare. We have our food bank lines are growing by the day. We have more people standing, in food lines than ever before. So the politics that are coming out of Washington stink. People are fed up with
Yeah,
all that stuff. It's
yeah,
garbage. We need
right.
real change, and they are coming for your job. If you're one of those politicians that want to continue to do politics as usual, they're coming for your job. And I'll be clapping when they take your job because you don't deserve a job if you're out there protecting the billionaire class and you've forgotten about the people that got you elected. I'll be clapping when they take your job. They need to take your job. They need to come after your job because you don't deserve to have a position when you have forgotten the people. You need to fight for the people, and then you're gonna have a lot of support from the people. But until that happens, they're gonna come for your job, and I'm gonna be clapping. I'm gonna be helping those people. Take your job because you don't deserve it if you're not gonna represent the people. It's that simple.
It's that simple. And
Anyway,
but
Jackie,
they
I'm
never
sorry.
thought of. I'm like they never thought
Yeah,
about the people, but we need people
they
in there who
don't,
think
man.
about us. But it's one of those things where again we need to continue the organizing and really uplifting the politicians that are going to run for us and listen to us when they're in Congress. And it's not only in Congress, actually, even school board, okay, like every single position that we have. Sometimes I'm like amazed as well that there's nobody contesting anybody or nobody even running for a position. And like that's where we need to be at. We need to get more people in those small positions, no matter what it is. Even if you don't, even if your campaign is just you and you're not even contesting against anybody for water district or whatever, it doesn't matter. We need more people running as well. So that is another thing that we need to organize for. Finding those offices that don't even have contestants sometimes. They don't even
Right,
nobody ever runs. And it's like let's start putting people there because we can change small policies that way on the local level and then work our way up. But it's a thing where how do we do that is a question at times.
right,
How do we get more people involved? But I think that youth are on the way to really organizing that way. And I think social media, people, like I said, if people underestimate social media, things do need to happen outside of social media. But things can happen through social media, and people are finding each other. People are understanding how to communicate. I know people from that I connected from New York, and they're doing labor, and I talked to them about labor issues, and they're from New York, and we found each other on social media and things like that. Like this is the way that we can communicate, but then let's make it a reality. Let's get it done. But when I would give people suggestion, like if you are on social media, don't just take it as like, oh, I'm just here liking stuff and reposting stuff. Actually engage with people and meet up and do things and really plan out what you want to do. As
right,
Carlos, you mentioned before, find one thing you really are passionate for, you want to change. Get together with people, find people on social media, and then get it done. Get it do it in real life, and
right.
that's kind
Start
of
those
one thing.
conversations.
I mean,
Exactly. Start those
I mean,
conversations.
I met you in real life, Carlos. I think I met you in real life, and then we also
Right.
connected with social media, and that's how we kind of been keeping up with each other and like our ideas and what we talk
Exactly.
about. So, as I said, it's powerful. It's a powerful tool too.
Yes. So you've been watching Stand Up Fight Back. We're here every Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. We discuss strategy and analysis for the progressive movement. We want to say thank you for watching us. But today, we want to make sure that we came on tonight and had this conversation. Jackie, thank you so much for being with us tonight. And as a co-host, we really appreciate your thoughts as a young person because it is the young people that are rising up, as you well said, and they are the ones that are moving and pushing the needle forward. Any closing statements before we wrap it up? We want to make sure that we wish people a safe time with their families during this Thanksgiving weekend. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I hope everybody really takes care and really has something to be grateful for as well, and things about the Native community at the same time. Look up ICWA and really look into what it is and why it's so important for this to actually be something the Native community still keeps on be able to do to keep Native communities strong and their children with them. So it's a really important time to reflect on Native lives and how we can actually get involved to supporting our local tribes. I think that's always important. Find out who's in your local tribe, how you can get in contact with them, and that's the best way to support your Native community in your local area.
Thank you so much, everybody. Lauren, thank you for your comments. I am on the street, actually. I'm in Oxnard. Reception here is not that well, so this is why I have to kind of. It's hard for me to monitor my my volume level here because I'm in the car and there's a lot of noise and stuff. So I'm trying to make sure that what we are being said is being said clearly. But we do apologize if I'm coming out with distorted sound. Thank you so much for your comments. Omar, I see everybody else. We
Oh
really
yeah. Oh,
appreciate
I
you.
forgot. I had on the private chat. I couldn't see. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for tuning
Yeah.
in.
Yes, appreciate you, and as always, we're here to support the people. We stand for the people. We are here because of you, and thank you for your support. We're gonna continue to fight hard as much as we can. We are there in the streets. We are there in the front lines. Whatever the issue is, we just know that we are associating with other groups as well everywhere, not only here in California, but throughout the United States. We're on the ground talking to people, talking to organizations, community leaders, and they are the ones that are making sure that the people are being taken care of. So, here from Southern California, we want to thank you for tuning in tonight and spread the word. We're here every Sunday, 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time. Good night,
Have a good
everybody.
night. Bye.